Hello, world, and welcome to this week's edition of the Sales Synergistics online seminar for sales leaders. I'm your host, Jason Smith, and I'm very happy to welcome you all back to a follow-up to our conversations on the Sales Synergistics curriculum and how it can help you as a sales leader, director, manager, or coach inside your organization, leading sales teams to destroy their numbers and bring success and revenue for your companies. Let's just talk real briefly again, as we always do, about who is Seagree LLC and how do we help companies. For those that are smaller organizations, they need help with getting the processes in place to actually bring their sales, marketing, and operations teams together. We bring to you a curriculum of coaching that helps everybody understand how to get everybody pulling in the right direction. And we'll be speaking a lot in detail about that today in this session. And then also, if you have some help for a larger organization to get trust in the regular and consistent performance of your sales or your service teams, we can bring you the power of the Aslan training and development curriculum that's been proven over 25 plus years. We can show you success in some of the many different companies we've worked with all over the globe, some of which you see here on this slide. So let's talk about what we discussed last week. We covered last week the need for you as a sales leader to bring some consistency to the tribal knowledge that your team actually uses in order to execute any of these 5 different rings. We talked about these 5 rings that can be the description of any of the work that your teams will do in reaching out to their clients to grow, build, and develop their relationships with their customers. We're going to focus very heavily on the territory management piece this week, which focuses a lot on your direct sales activities. But if you notice from the diagram, the things you do in direct communication and talking to your customers should flow to content that they can use to expand their understanding of what they're doing with your role, or to working with other affiliates who might be able to help you if that's your channel strategy, advocates who are the case studies you might refer them to, and also going to your site. And everything that you do feeds into a sales process that's been documented and that's been helpful. And as we said last week, you as the sales leader for your teams should bring that tribal knowledge together. Here's some of the things around territory management that you should be focused on developing that synergistic tribal knowledge around. First and foremost, who should you be talking to? Inside any organization, there are several different people that you have to call on for these larger, complex B2B sales that most of us are making. You'll have to reach out to someone who might be the strategic decision maker, of course, but there are influencers, evaluators, coaches, and sponsors all within the organization that sometimes those decision makers will defer a lot of information gathering authority to, maybe even taking the deal all the way to close without their direct approval until the very last minute. You need to make sure you're able to work the entire organization, because roles don't always mean power in an organization. Sometimes there's one individual who can be the influencer, evaluator, coach, and sponsor for your solution, and there's one person besides them that needs to sign off on it, or there could be a whole team of people. You as an organization need to know for your ideal client personas, for the companies you normally call on, who are usually the right titles to reach out to that fit these different roles descriptions, these different players that you'll need to find in the organization to help further your sales agenda. Now, as you look at understanding those personas in broad strokes, you all should get together and describe what those types of people are looking for. Get an understanding of their mission, of what their day-to-day life is like, and how they can be successful. Look at the pains that they're experiencing in doing their daily work, and figure out how your solutions tend to speak to their pains. Now, on the gains side, that's more specific to the individual, right? You can talk about how your role can help that person's title, someone who sits in the role of maybe CTO or director of sales, whatever the person you normally call on might be, and how it affects their job, but also how it affects them personally. Someone like that might be politically motivated, looking to move up in the organization. And gains that you can provide don't always just have to apply directly to their job and what they do, but it can affect them personally and how they want to move in the organization. So look at that in the broadest strokes, because again, as we talk about, people make decisions on emotions first and logic after. How things affect you personally are very emotional and very powerful. From there, break down as a team what your ideal client buying processes are. If you work with a certain type of company, let's say a $25 million B2B software company, then you'll know how they move through the process of selecting the types of services or products that you provide. Make sure your team has a breakdown of where any organization might be when you encounter them. If you happen to speak to an evaluator and you can find out where they are in their buying process, where they are in their decision-making process, then as a team, you can have some go-to activities that can correspond to what you should be doing with those individuals based on their title, based on the type of company it is, and based on where they are in their buying process. And you can have selling steps, touch points, activities that correspond to that everybody can use as best practices from one rep to the next. Study your most successful reps, figure out how they win, and make sure you help people duplicate what they do at what time in the customer's buying cycle to be successful. Pass that on as tribal knowledge for everyone to have the same level of success. Again, I'm Jason Smith with Seagree LLC. Love to help you with any of the things we've talked about today and explore them in more detail. Tune in for next week as we round the corner to the next base in this home run process of territory management to help you be successful in bringing more knowledge to your team as a sales leader. I'm Jason Smith, and I'd love to help you. Take care. God bless.